All right, guys. Now we've gotten through fungus. Now we're going to get into basic low-level plants. We're going to talk about how they colonized the land, how they got out of the seas, and what helped them adapt to living in this non-water-based world. Common properties to all of plants. They all contain plastids, as we learned about when we talked about protists. They're multicellular. There are no unicellular plants. They all have tissue, and they all have a very, very specialized reproductive system. Yes?
Are algae plants like
You know what? You're talking taxonomy again.
Okay, well,
And
but you said none of them are
right.
multicellular.
So algae are a basal form of plants. So they could fall into Streptophyta, but they are not considered plants. So not all Streptophyta are plants.
You know what like hair algae is? Like it's just like the
So
fine rock.
yes, those are a different type of protists that are going to be those are Streptophyta, but they're not
It's not like a
plants.
It's just like an evil scum.
Yes. Yes. Evil scum.
Yeah.
So plants and plastids. So, and guys, I am sorry if taxonomy runs amok and some things define some things one way and other things define other things. You know how I feel about taxonomy. I think it's voodoo and witchcraft, and it's just not real. In the end, my take on taxonomy, having studied it for 3 years of my life, is that it doesn't matter. Yeah, because nature doesn't care. Taxonomy is all about people needing to classify because we're a little bit obsessed with sorting out Skittles. That's our life. In the end, what matters is it's alive, it works, and it fulfills some role in the ecosystem. So plants all have plastids. Plastids, again, are those individual macromolecule creating machines. All true plants are multicellular. So yeah, Streptophyta might include the algae. But if you're going to be saying a plant, you're going to say that it has to be multicellular. It's sort of, do you guys, we'll talk a little bit later, do you guys know what the difference is between vegetables and fruits? So, awesome, right? Yeah, there is none. Literally, we made it up. The distinctions are so I was in a meeting with 15 plant biologists, and nobody could agree. People will come over to blows over what is the difference between this and this. There is none, and it doesn't matter if there was. It's not even like a vegetable's nutritious and a fruit isn't. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Nihilistic biology. There you go. So there we go. All true plants are cellular. They all contain plastids, which create organic material from inorganic material. Name the plastid? What is it? Yeah, that's right. Not chlorophyll, a chloroplast that contains chlorophyll. Boom, here it is, the chloroplast. The chloroplast is awesome because it is a double membrane bound organelle. How is it possible, hearkening back to an earlier lecture, that we got a double membrane on the chloroplast and the mitochondrion? What theory describes that? How is it that we could have gotten a double membrane on these two organelles that are different than other organelles because they contain their own unique sets of DNA?
Oh, bacteria in endosymbiosis.
That is exactly correct. Endosymbiosis. It's green. Why is it green? Because it's got chlorophyll. What's chlorophyll, you might ask? It's a pigment. What are pigments? Man, there's a lot of questions you have. Pigments are they're molecules that will be able to absorb the energy from light and reflect off unused wavelengths. So in this case, the chlorophyll absorbs blue and red light and reflects green light. That's why we see it as green. I will tell you, I just saw something, and a friend of mine. So when you get into science and people know that you're into science, they start to ask you questions. And then you get those moments where you slam your head onto a desk. And the question was, why are plants green? And then they said, well, plants are green because Because they get the carbon dioxide from the sky, and the sky is blue, and they get sunlight from the sun, and that's yellow, and green and blue make yellow. And I was like, no, That's so wrong, I can't even comment on it. You're incorrect, and you deserve to be smacked, and that's the end. I can't actually smack them through the internet, no. Yeah. Plants are multicellular? No. Is this a plant? No, what is it? It's a fungi. Boom. Is that a plant? No, why? That's right, unicellular. Boom, what's that? Is that a plant? Yes, it's a tree. So far, so good. How about that one? Nope, unicellular. Yep, that one over there. Ooh. It's not kale. It's lichen. Right. It's an algae and a fungus growing together. Not a plant. Ooh, moss. Plant, definitely a plant. That one throws people. Algae. We just had this conversation. Maybe, who knows, taxonomy. Ooh, so this is unicellular algae that's all bound together using glycocalyx. Fun algae, right. Oh, what about that one? No, unicellular. Oh, that's a hard one. It's seaweed. So that particular type of seaweed is a bunch of unicellular organisms holding on to each other. And, oh, cactus. How about cactus? Plant. Definitely a plant. Fun game, right? Is it a plant? Is it not? We don't know. Plants all have tissues. Tissues are neat, and they are something we have yet really gone into. Multicellular organisms like you and plants have tissues, which are associations of cells of the same type. So it's the same type of cells working together to do one sort of function. These tissues help retain water in a time when the water would otherwise be lost to the environment. You might have what's called epidermal tissue. That's this outside tissue. It's just like the skin on the bottom of your feet, where it's going to be like the cells are going to not do much. Their whole job is to protect other cells. Some of your tissue is called meristematic. Now that's a kind of big word, and I think you'll need to know it. Meristematic. Meristematic tissue is where you have lots and lots of mitotic development. So lots of reproductive cells going on right there. You can see down here, big cells, lots and lots of stained nuclei there, lots of stained nuclei up here. That's because that's where the plant is growing. You might have what's called the apical meristem. The apical meristem is what grows upward. So think the letter A is an arrow pointing up. This bulb in the middle, that's the apical meristem. Down here in the root, you also have an apical meristem because it's growing vertically up or down. Basically, you've got a lot of mitosis going on there, and that's what's forcing the plant to grow downward or forcing the plant to grow upward. I tend to think of them like, do you guys know what the snakes are for, like snakes for 4th of July? You'd light these tabs on fire, and then suddenly you get ashes that do these weird loopy things. You have any idea what I'm talking about? There's a picture right here. Think of it this way. That tablet that you set on fire is the apical meristem. You set it, and then stuff grows out of it. This stuff doesn't do much growing on its own. It's done growing. That's where all the growth occurs at the tablet. Does that make sense? So that would be the meristem type tissue. It grows, and here it's just extending, it's developing. That's where the actual reproduction is going to occur, at the base. The reproduction, the plant grows from the meristem. Now, I just talked about the apical meristem, and we'll talk in a second about what's called lateral meristem. Apical meristem grows up, lateral meristem grows out. So anytime you're producing new leaves or new branches. Questions? Plants, multicellular, right? Yeah? They got plastids? Yeah? So far, so good? As far as our definitions on this slide, yes, that is correct.